Okay, so you have heard that cats have 9 lives, right? Heard that? Okay. Well, there's actually another animal that has more lives than that. You know what it is? A frog. You know why? Because a frog croaks every night. Compliments of our school children. But you know, it's true. You know, I hear the frogs croaking every night right behind my window. I have that little retention pond. The frogs love that water area, and they'll croak all night. Ribbit, 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 ribbit. And it makes me think about all of those strange noises in the night that go bump in the night. Noises and images. You know, I was thinking about when I was a little kid, how sometimes I would want the light on. And my dad would say, yeah, I was afraid of the dark when I was young too. But then I grew up and started paying the electric bill. Now I'm afraid of the light. But you know, it's true, especially when you're younger and you're in the dark and you get afraid because you can't see what's out there. It's human nature to have a fear of the unknown. And that fear then feeds our imagination. Children have a lot of imagination, so in that fear, they imagine and see things and hear things that are probably not there, like under the bed, or in the closet, or what's that peeping outside of the window? I got to turn on the light. But you know, we have this fear of the unknown, and especially in the dark. And you know, the darkness has always been rich in the Scriptures. You know, even before I get into that, you know, we even as adults, you know, we grow up, but we still have that nightlight. Now, we will explain and say, well, you know, so I can be able to get to the bathroom. But you know you can actually buy glow-in-the-dark toilet seats. You can, so you can put that fear aside. You don't even need that nightlight. I even looked on Amazon. You can get glow-in-the-dark toilet paper, so you're all set. So we don't have to be afraid of the dark. But you know, darkness has always been a rich symbol in the Scriptures. It always has, that place of darkness and the images that come from that great symbolism. Jesus speaks of one of those places of darkness in our gospel this morning, Gehenna. It was an actual place in Jesus' day. It was a valley, the valley of Gehenna, sometimes referred to as Heman or Ben Heman. And it was that place that marked one of the lowest points in the history of Israel. Long before Jesus, King Ahaz led his people into the lapse of worshiping pagan idols. And even had the people sacrifice their own children to Baal. And so later on then, a King Josiah, led the people back to worshiping the one true God and marked that place, that valley of Gehenna, as an unclean place, a place that was deplorable, a place of defilement, and cut it off. And so what the people did then is they used it as kind of like a dump. They took all of their trash and their refuse, and they dumped it into the valley of Gehenna. And they would burn it. And after time, the decomposition of the material grew. And being burned over and over again, there was this low-lying smolder, this low-grade fire that would never stop. And so you saw the smoke rising, and you had that stench. And on the upper layers of the decomposition were worms and other creatures that would feed off of it. And so Jesus is using this place that people knew about and would think about those images when Jesus said of that other place where the worms do not die and the fire is never quenched. They used this image of that place of punishment, of what it must be like in that place of unquenchable fire and stench, creatures feeding in that place of the wicked, and life after death, what we would sometimes refer to as hell. Jesus used that image that they all were familiar with and used the imagination of the place of darkness to help think about those things that were the most grimmest and terrible of all. And so he was saying, then we should make it our point that even any sacrifice, even cutting off our arms or taking off our eye, is worth then not going to that place for eternity. And it's worth the sacrifice. And then even more important than that, the opposite is even more true. That our goal is to go to that place where any sacrifice is worth. And Jesus spoke of that place 3 times in today's gospel. Twice he referred to it as the place of life. And the final instance, he referred to it as the kingdom of God. To use our goal in life, to ultimately reach that place, to be with God in the kingdom of heaven. And then if we do that, then our actions then will in some way bring a little bit of that kingdom here on earth. What is the prayer that Jesus taught us? Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Let your goal be to enter into that kingdom, and for any sacrifice is worth that entry. Jesus speaks of children in our gospel, and so I want to share with you a little more wisdom from our school kids. So a while back ago, I was in one of the classes, one of the younger classes, and I was talking about God's creation and telling them about how God loves all of creation, but in particularly us. But I was asking them, what's more important, the sun or the moon? And one little boy raised his hand. The moon. That's interesting. Well, why the moon? Well, the moon, he said, gives us light at nighttime when we need it the most. The sun gives us light in the daytime when we don't need it as much. You know, think about it. It makes sense, doesn't it? I couldn't argue with him. Well, my friends, are we not also called to be like a moon in the night? To bring life, light into the darkness? Let our goal always be the kingdom of heaven, so that our actions in this life may bring a little bit of that kingdom here on earth, a little bit of that life and light. For as Jesus tells us, if you give a cup of water even to the least, and you do it because you belong to me, I assure you, you will not lose your reward.